Hello, and welcome to Opal City Confidential, a Starman podcast, episode 49. We will be covering the Will Payton era, Starman's 23 and 24. Will is on his journey to find himself, which is always good in a comic book about heroes, as in myth and legends kind of heroes. So I've been digging this, and we're going to get talking right away. Which is starting with issue 23, which was on sale April 24th, 1990, cover dated June 1990. Editor Brian Michael Augustin. The name of the story is Life in the Fast Lane. It has a cover by Tom Lyle, and it's a pretty good one. It's the Hollywood Hills in the background, and Will is burning a star with his energy through his t-shirt, and he has, his eyes are lit up and his hands are lit up, and it says Life in the Fast Lane. It's kind of like a Marvel corner box. I just didn't, is it? Yeah, it's on all these. Yeah, they've got like him flying out of almost like a Marvel-like corner box. I had not noticed that. This story, again, features Will Payton, and it is written by the amazing Roger Stern, penciled by the amazing Tom Lyle, inked by the amazing Scott Hanna, lettered by the amazing Robert M. Pinaha, and colored by the amazing Carl Gafford. Main characters, Starman. Supporting characters, Jane and Maurice Payton, his mom and sister. Villain Deadline appears in this. We meet Alan Markin again, this movie producer. We meet a famous musician that is... Will is a fan of, and we also get some more time with Muggs the dog, and there's a little kind of cameo appearance of Jade and Obsidian in this. So let's get the synopsis from Mike's Amazing World of Comics. I love this website. After working on a movie as a stuntman, Will Payton attends a Hollywood party with director Alan Markham. Will is introduced to Spencer Boyd, a musician. Boyd hires Will to work on his music video. Will is a fan of Spencer, but soon realizes Boyd is an addict. Will protect Spencer's when his drunken behavior incite a group of bar patrons. He then decides that Hollywood life does not suit him and leaves town. Again, as I said, I've been really enjoying the series, especially because of the building of these. I'm really falling in love with Marie and Jane and Will and all the characters in this. Their characters are so full, everything's so well built up, and everything pays off. Is it a little wordy? Yes, but I don't care. I'm enjoying it because we open with 2 pages with Marie upset about Will being gone and Shoes the dog. And we hear the dog's thoughts. Let's hear Muggs' thoughts. Muggs has just been told he's a pest again. And the narration goes, for all his 5 years, Muggs has tried his best to be a good dog. If only humans weren't so hard to understand. He has been scolded so many times for pestering, and each time pestering has meant something different. The mother seemed troubled again. She's been troubled so much since the son left the lair. He wanted only to comfort her. Why does comfort mean pester? Isn't it a good thing to comfort? And if it isn't, now, will pestering Jane make him a good dog? It makes no sense. But if that is what humans want, if he pesters her well, perhaps she'll play ball catch or frisbee on their evening walk. And he walks into Will's room where Jane is just thinking to herself, why is her brother perfectionist? Why he's done all these good things? And Muggs gives her love, and she's so happy, and she gets it. And then we cut to Starman and Alan Markin flying in his special flying car, as they fly to his house in L.A. And Will's looking around. He's enjoying the CD collection, yes, a wall of CDs, and sees a picture of Markham with Jade and Obsidian because he works at Stellar Studios, where Infinity Inc. used to have their headquarters, and he explains that to Will, which is cool. And then he notices he's just complimenting on the music, and he's like, hey, go to this party with you like Spencer Boyd music? Yeah, let's go meet him. So then we cut to outside of Phoenix, and Deadline is getting ready. He has had Dr. Moon augment him, and he is plotting his revenge on Starman and make a name. He wants to make a name for himself by killing a superhero. So then we cut to the party, and it's, it's a cliche 80s party, ponytails of men, weird hair for women. This is early 90s. Will talks to a guy who makes more and more money selling scripts that have never gotten produced. And when he realizes Will's with Mark and he asks him that they give him his business card, but Will gets out of there quick. That's when he meets Boyd, and he remembers when he was, younger, he had opened for Boyd in a concert, and Boyd just kind of brushed him off and didn't remember him. But how would he remember him? Because he's not wearing Will's face. And then we cut to the making of Boyd's video, which was, this is really, I could have seen this on MTV in 1990. It is cheesy. It is the skinny rock star dressed like Travis Morgan, Warlord, doing all this stuff. And we basically get 2 pages of the video, and it is so tacky, it's silly, and fun. I love it. But then, Markham's acting erratic. He's drinking, he's given up drugs, but he still drinks. He's drunk, and he's throwing stuff all over the place. And he rides off, and Will goes to try to find him. And he finds him at a biker bar, where, he's just being drunk. Boyd's being drunk and abusive. He's about to take some pills, and then he throws them away and accuses the bar guys of trying to poison him. When, it's just, he's in the wrong place at the wrong time. And Will shows up, and they start to, the tough guys think they're going to beat up Will and beat up Boyd. And Will burns off his beard, changes his face to a Starman face, and has a glowing burning star burning on top of his T-shirt. And that freaks the guys out, all the tough guys out, and they, give up. And he carries Boyd out of there, and he's, he takes Boyd back. He explains to Markin who he is, and he's going to go back on the road. And he just tells him, Boyd is just unappreciative. And Will, before he leaves, gives him Boyd thinks because, I've given up drugs, I'm not an addict. I'm not an addict when it comes to beer and other things. But he's abusing alcohol. He's just replaced one drug for another. And Will scolds him on it. So it's kind of an anti-drug message, but it didn't bug me. I liked the issue. It was fun. It was a lot of character development. Markham and Boyd, they never are seen again. I don't think it was. But Will's about the next issue, 2 issues. 24, 25 will wrap up this and lead us into a big story coming up. But this one was it's good. I'm enjoying these as I read them month to month, or every 2 weeks I read 2 of them, and I'm really enjoying them. And this one was not as good as some of the others. The plot was a little thinner, but it's your monthly dose of the adventures of Will Payton and his family, and that's the thing. That's what I'm here for right now, is Will Payton. I love these characters. So let's get to the next one, which is issue 24, published May 29th, 1990, cover date July 1990. Brian Michael Augustin, same creative team. This one's called Shattered Lives. Main character is Starman. Supporting cast: Jane Payton, Marie Payton, and Kitty Faulkner's back, which I like that. Last time we saw. Deadline is the big guy. We also have Muggs again. This is Muggs' last appearance. That's sad. We've got some other people, nothing super major. And the synopsis is: Will Payton is haunted by dreams of his own mistakes. He then recalls his father and decides to find out more about the man. Will searches for answers, leads him to the driver of the truck that killed Raymond Deming. The driver, Duke Baum, is haunted by the accident and nearly kills himself. Will saves him. Will talks to him. He explains that Ray left him and his family years earlier. He convinced Bond to return to his family and seek counseling. Will then follows his own advice and returns home to his own family and his role as Starman. So this has a great cover, and it shows Will brooding at the bottom, and then Starman battling his walkabout persona. It's another great Tom Lyle cover. And it starts with him having the nightmare where he's hit different aspects of himself. He's got the 2 pilots that he couldn't save talking to Starman, and his mom. Carol and his mom scolding him for not doing what he needed to do. And then he has a dream of the man who died. The guy that pulled it was beating on his wife and then put a gun to Will's back, and when he pulled the trigger, it blew up in his hands and killed him. And he sees that guy in a fire, and that guy turns into his dad. His dad leaves him, and then he turns into a little kid again. And his dad pushes him out of the way while he's run over by the truck, and the truck's being driven by Starman. So Will's freaked out. So he's gone camping, and he starts thinking about everything that's going on. He thinks about his sister. He's thinking about the airmen he couldn't save, the abusive husband, Carol, everything. Everything that's happened to him recently that's made him question his role as Starman. And he keeps talking about the dream. The part of the dream about Dad is what bothers me the most. After all these years, I still have trouble accepting that he left us. When I slapped the abusive man away from wife, I was really striking back at my father. It always comes back to you, doesn't it, Dad? You're never really out of mind, and I know you so little about you. Maybe it's time I tried to find out more. You have lived the last few years of your life in San Francisco. That's only 100 miles away. I could be there in a few minutes. Of course, I doubt that I'll like what I find, but better the devil you know than the devil you don't. And I like that. I think I've talked about my dad on the podcast. My dad's my hero. My dad was a really great man, and at times our relationship was fractured because of what I thought of him. My view of him as a child through the lens of divorce. I judged him about things that I knew nothing about, and then as I got older and I learned more about stuff, I had to come to grips with the fact that I didn't know my dad, and when I did really get to know him, and I just got to be around him, I realized how much how important he was, and I got at least I got years and years of that. Will has a more fractured relationship, and I kind of like that. And I like that we now cut to Marie and Jane, and they're talking. It's basically they're having a thing about Will and lunch. Will, and they're talking because his mom finds the costume in the washer. And, they're just kind of talking, just having a conversation like family do. And and Jane, after mom leaves, darn you, Will Payton. If you don't want to be Starman, I wish you could give me your powers. But whatever you decide to do, you'd better head home soon. Mom has been hovering over me like crazy because she's worried about him. Either fight it's her son, she misses him, and Jane she just wants some family together. I love these characters. They're awesome, and they're real. I love it. So Will flies to San Francisco, turns back to his normal face in the hospital, and meets Dr. Yi. Dr. Yi tells him a little bit about what's going on. They have a nice walk. He points him toward the mission, like a soup kitchen, and the truck driver, and that's where he talks to the guy that runs it. And this is what he tells to Will. I wish it were otherwise, but I'm afraid I can't tell you much more than Dr. Yi could, Mr. Deming. That's Peyton, sir. Ray Deming was my father, but my mother gave us her maiden name after he left us. Oh, I beg your pardon. I must say I was astonished to learn that he had any living relatives at all. Whenever Ray mentioned his family, which was rare, he spoke in the past tense. I just assumed they were dead. We thought the same about him, Captain. Understandable. Whatever else he might have done, Ray Deming was a gentle soul. In the years I knew him, he was a nicer man you couldn't find when he was sober. I pray that his soul has at last found some peace, and I hope you bear no malice to the driver of that truck. Malice? No, I was told it was an accident. It was indeed. But for the past month, the man has borne a terrible cross. I'm sorry, it's hard to read. That blurry ink. So Will decides to go looking. And then we cut to Kitty Faulkner's house, and she walks in, and Deadline is in there, and he chases her, and he kidnaps her, and she goes, "You're going to be my..." Basically, she tells her she's going to be his bait. I was hoping she'd turn him into Damage and whoop his butt, but no. Will goes to the public library. Libraries are good people. Don't listen to those crazies that want to ban books and shut down libraries. They're morons. They don't want you to know stuff. But he does some homework and learns about the driver, Stephen Bond, and he goes looking for him. He checks out all the bars. He finally finds one where a guy has chucked him out because he's already drunk, and then Will saves him from getting run over by a bus because he's staggering around and he's drunk. And Will is, come on, we're gonna go talk. And he tells it. He's like, he talks to the guy, and the guy recalls what's happening and how it's hurt him and it's ruined his job. And his wife wants him to get counseling, and he just doesn't get it. And this is like 3 or 4 pages of Will saying, no, don't give up on your family. Something he's learning. I didn't know my father, but my father wasn't who I thought he was going to be. And how do I come to terms with that? He was just a man who had his foibles and made mistakes. But, he could have repaired the damage. And he gives Baum, the driver, one last chance. And the next thing you know, we're cut to the house. Jane's walking in. She sees Will's backpack. She runs into his room, and he's wearing his costume. And it's good to be Starman. So that's the end of his little walkabout. I don't like to use that term. That could be, cultural appropriations. But he does it. He finds himself. And we're 24 issues in. Will is comfortable being Starman. It's kind of, I like that. I like that a lot. I like the hero's journey. All right. But hey, yeah, that's those 2 issues. I liked it. I like that Journey's over. I like that Stern was just telling these little mini stories inside of, Will has little adventures. It's serialized. I like that there are no big supervillain battles for 4 or 5 issues. I think the way Stern and Lyle and the rest of the creative team are telling this story is great. I'm so happy and so surprised how good it is and how much this is the kind of comic I like. I like long story arcs. But I like a lot of plot. I like a lot of character development. I like a lot of interaction with characters. I want to see their relationships. I want to see them interact. So I'm digging it. This is hitting all my sweet spots, as I've been saying. Next week, we are going to do issue 25 and appearance that Will appeared that we haven't done, which was in Action Comics Weekly, because I want to do issues 26 and 27 together, because it is when Will meets David Knight when he's trying to take over the mantle of Starman. And I'm going to try to see if I can line up a guest for that. So that'll be in a month. So I'm looking forward to that. Next week will be part 2 of the poster story and Adventure Comics 74. And after the final part of the poster story will also go with All-Star Comics 11, or at least Ted's part of All-Star Comics 11 and the Justice Society. So I'm looking forward to that. This is dropping a day late. It's going to drop on Thursday. I'm recording it on Wednesday, the 14th, Valentine's Day. So I'll do some editing tomorrow and post it. And on Saturday, I will drop my conversation about Astro City, or it's very loose, just me and Graham from his YouTube channel, Postcards from Wet Rock, where he talks about European comics. And he's had me on twice to talk about Blue Coats, which is a Belgian comedy-ish, historical, kind of like an Asterix and Obelix, but it's set, it's 2 Union soldiers in the American Civil War, and he has me on because I live in this capital of the Confederacy, Richmond, Virginia, and my ancestors fought on both sides of the war, and I, growing up in Virginia, you get a lot of Civil War dragged down your throat. And the naval stuff is kind of cool because this is when they join. It's called the Navy Blues. And it was a fun conversation. So check out Graham's site on his YouTube channel. It's a lot of fun. He's covering Judge Dredd. Lots of great stuff. There's this one, Mortimer and Blake, that I wish I had copies of. It looks amazing. It's kind of like a Quatermass kind of adventure strip, and it just looks amazing. But we had a nice conversation. I had given him a gift of Astro City Metro Book Volume 1, and we kind of just have a real quick conversation about that, and that'll drop this weekend. And I've got other things planned. I'm reaching out to Kirby. We're geeking out about the guest list on Richmond Comic Con, and I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna get some stuff signed by Steve Englert and Jim Shooter, and maybe some other people, and maybe get a picture with celebrity. Last year it was David Tennant. And the year before that, it was Jeffrey Combs, the amazing Jeffrey Combs. The year before that, it was Armin Shimmerman. I'm kind of like those. Those are the people I want. Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill are there. I don't know if I want to do that one, but there's some people that neat, cool people I'd like to get a picture taken with. And I'm hoping maybe Kirby comes down and we have a good time. So that's an invite, Kirby. So you're welcome to come on down and meet the wife and our friend Anna, most likely, and we'll have fun at Galaxy. So think about it. But I've got stuff I want to do with Kirby. I'm gonna ask Billy back again. Jimbo is gonna come back. We'll talk Legion and something else, hopefully. But I got lots of ideas. If you have any suggestions, if you have a favorite team up, give me a shout out and tell me what it is, and maybe I'll talk about it. So that's it for this week. As always, be safe, be smart. Please be kind to one another in this mixed up, crazy world. And read some comics. Read something written by Steve Englehart. Just Google it. Hey, read his Doc Strange.